Hey, adventurers, it's Alan from 3Leg over here. For those that joined a couple of nights ago for the MyRoute-app webinar, um, excuse me. So recorded that, and even though I was using two different screens, the participants have come into the recording at the top right-hand corner, which is where a number of the actions we were taking are now hidden. So I've decided to record it again. So without any further ado, we will start. So MyRoute-app, I've been using it for probably 5, maybe 6 years now. It's gone through a number of enhancements over the past 18 months, which I think has really brought it light years ahead. I've used a couple other planning apps, but yeah, nothing that comes close to this one. And just on MyRoute, so we actually don't get commission out of MyRoute-app for our 50% discount that you can get. You can get that when you buy one of our products or one of our books, digital or paperback, or if you join our membership. So yes, the 50% discount for MRA product is there for you guys. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get into it. So going to bring up, excuse me, the app, and we will get going. Okay, so let's bring up MRA. Okay, so when you first start it, you'll have a map of the world. These numbers has how many routes are already in there that you can use. Won't go into too much detail on that because I don't use them too much. Well, I don't use them at all, to be honest. And then as you scroll down, there's a whole heap of different countries that have some routes you can use if you want to. So my routes that I've created are all ones that I've done through looking at squiggly lines on roads, knowing roads. I know, a lot of the roads that we want to ride, so I'll go hone in on those. Plus looking at, routes and magazines and all that sort of thing. So that's your screen. So we will log in and have a look at what comes up. So what normally happens is your computer, wherever it's connected to or where you have your location, should MyRoute, when you start it, should actually bring up where you actually are. So if you haven't got location on your computer, it could bring it up anywhere, but anyway. So we've got a number of things across the top. Some of these I don't actually use. Like I'm not really interested in the library. That's where there's a whole heap of routes, achievements, that sort of, what you've done with MyRoute-app. I don't really look at that too much. So the main thing is in the actual routes themselves. So opening up the route folder. So when you first do this with, if you get the product, this is going to be empty. So for me, I have all these folders in here, which are my folders, and I have put them together based on sequential or alphabetical numbering of all the different maps that we've got that I've put together over time. So from our Europe tour in 2019, into our membership for all the rides that we have in our membership and we add to our membership. I've got one here for each state. So New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, they've all got a whole heap of rides in them. And then I've got one that I've created for the MRA webinar. So just looking at our menu now. So we'll go into the MRA webinar and have a look at that. So when I create a route, I am a little bit OCD, I guess. I like to keep everything tidy and in a particular order. So looking at, if we just go back and I'll jump into, let's say, South Australia, which is where we currently are. So I have all these routes in here that I start off with SA for South Australia, and then I put a dash 01, and then what is the name of the ride. So all my rides are done like that, because when you upload them into your navigation device, that's how they come through. So when you're trying to look for a ride in your navigation device, whether it's TomTom or Garmin or even the navigation app, if they're done by state, region, country, whatever, then, you know, it just makes it a lot easier. So if you just look quickly at our Europe tour in 2022, and if we just go into maybe Switzerland, so in here, you can see that I've got 7 rides in Switzerland that we did in 2022. And then I've got a number of other rides that we're going to do in 2023. So I'll move those into the 2023 folder a little bit later. So going back to our routes, and we'll have a look at the webinar folder. So this is what I did on the actual webinar. So we're going to start again. I'm going to delete out some of these. So if you want to delete something, anything like that, then you can come across, just hit the X, go OK, get rid of it, delete it, gone. The only thing with that is if you accidentally delete it, you can't get it back. I'm just going to delete some of these out because we're going to bring them in as we go on in this recording. Okay, so when you are creating a route and you want to put a route together, so I'm going to do the first route here, a replication of this gorge road that I've done. So when we come up into the right-hand corner up here, you got new. So you can do a new folder, which is what, you know, you call either South Australia or Victoria or whatever naming convention you want to do. Route is the actual creation of a new route, and route upload will come back to shortly. So I want a new route. So this box will come up and it will ask, what do you want to call your new route? So I want to call this one SA01 Gorge Road. And I'll call this one number 1 because I've already got one there that I've done. So privacy mode, you can choose public, friends, or private. So I always use private. You know, our IP with a lot of our routes and everything, I'd like to keep to ourselves. We share those routes with people that buy one of our products. If you want the GPX or ITN files, you can request them when you make a purchase. And in our membership, the new rides each month in the membership also come with the GPX files for those particular rides. So I keep my privacy road as private. Transport mode is either driving, cycling, or by foot. So obviously we're driving. Departure date and time. I don't play with that because when we get into this in a little bit, you'll see what that's about. So we've named this one SA Gorge Road number 1. So we'll hit OK. And what happens is we get our map. If we expand that on the right-hand side, so scrolling in and out, it's picked up our location somewhere near Gawler, so we're just a little bit north of Gawler. All right, so looking up at this section here is with the gold version, you get a number of options on how do you want to do your mapping. So default is OpenStreetMap. That one seems to be a lot more detailed when you scroll in. So if we come into, say, Adelaide, into the city right in here, and you'll start getting like all different places and stuff like that. The next one is TomTom. So TomTom is obviously a navigation device. I have a TomTom 450 rider, and I export all my files as ITNs and then upload into the TomTom. So you can see here, like if we just leave it at this scale on TomTom, that these roads out in the Adelaide Hills look a little bit different to the main roads. If we go back to OpenStreetMaps, then it looks different again. And if we go to here, which is the software that Garmin's use, it will look a little bit different again. Which one you use is entirely up to you. I actually use a combination of all three. So I'll start doing my routing here, and then I will change it over to TomTom to have a look and to continue on. And if I'm looking for hotels, details of everything else right in the city and stuff, I'll actually go into OpenStreetMaps because it has far more places shown and stuff like that. Okay, so this one here, we are going to head out into the Adelaide Hills, and all right, so that was an accident. So I've clicked on my screen and it's put a waypoint up there. So I'm just going to cross to the left here, and I am going to delete that waypoint. So we're going to come down. I'm actually going to choose, go back to TomTom. So I'm going to come up Norton Summit to around to Lenswood, Lobethal, Gumaraka, the Chain of Ponds, Gorge Road, which is, these are all awesome roads in the Adelaide Hills. So I'm just choosing what map I want to start with. And I'm going to put in my first point. So I'm going to start here in McGill. And maybe if I'm coming from the north, I'm going to come down St Bernard's Road. So where I want to start from is outside UniSA. Now, with your placement of your waypoints, you can just go to a section of road, click it, and it will throw a waypoint there. So this is our starting waypoint. So when you're clicking and you're moving your screen, just be careful that you hold your mouse button down to move it, because if you go like this, you can accidentally put a waypoint in there. So if you just come across to the left and hit delete, and that one will be gone. Okay, so we're going to come down and I want to come up Norton Summit, which is an elevated road here in Adelaide. So I'm going to put my second point here. So it's only less than 1 kilometre from where we've come off our starting point. So scrolling out on the map, I'm going to come back down to Lobethal Road is where I want to go. And so right now you can see that it hasn't followed where I want to go. It's brought us down this road here. So I want to go to this one here. So you can either put a waypoint in there, such as go like that, which will make it number 4. And then if you come across here to your left on your menu, you actually want that to be number 3. So if you hold your mouse button on that one and drag it, sorry, that will make it number 3. Alternatively, if we get rid of number 3 again, and we leave it go back to here, you can make your map a bit bigger where it turns, where you're moving your mouse and you turn to an X, hold your mouse button down, left-hand one, and just drag it up to number 3, or it becomes number 3, and then just drag your actual waypoint onto the road. All right, so we're sort of going around. We're going to come around here to Laberthal. So I'm just clicking to make waypoints, looking at my road. See this one here, it's actually said, okay, we're going to come around here, but I want to come on the B27. So again, I'm just going to grab this, drag it up here, and get it back on track. So at the moment, my waypoints are sitting there, so I'll just drag it onto the road, and we're good to go. I'm going to come out to Mount Torrens. Just going to put another waypoint there. So again, if you scroll in, make sure your waypoint's on the road. I'm going to come up to Birdwood. So another waypoint there. Just waiting for my computer to catch up. And then I'm going to come Torrens Valley Road to Gumaraka. Back through Cuddly Creek to Gorge Road. All the way down Gorge Road. So here we're becoming a city road. So make sure your waypoint is on the correct side of the road. Okay, so you can see this one here. It's actually brought us up around here. Again, we don't want that. So we just drag that down to Gorge Road. Scrolling back out. And we're going to come somewhere towards where we started from, is where we're going to finish the ride. So this one is going to be, again, on St Bernard's Road. So let's just finish here. All right, so over on the left-hand side here, you can see it's 87 kilometres. So now you can look at that and go, okay, yep, I'm happy with that. Now, one of the things you can do is, okay, let's have a look at it in TomTom. And we'll have another look in the Garmin navigation. So we're looking at that. Okay, so in your toolkit, in here, you can choose whether, and this is obviously with the gold version, the paid version. I'm not sure whether the silver does it. I don't know, to be honest. But you don't get these options with the free version. So now you can compare the route with OpenStreetMap. And you can see that in OpenStreetMap that it's actually brought the route around here, whereas the current one we're on in here is bringing it around this way. So if you wanted to keep it as in you want to follow that, just simply, again, just drag and bring your route up. So it's now covering where OpenStreetMaps is showing. And again, down here, it's showing us as coming up a different road if you're on doing it in OpenStreetMap. So you want it on this one here on Laberthal Road. So again, just put a waypoint or drag. So if you just put a waypoint here, then the OpenStreetMap will then replicate what we're doing in here. So going back to your toolkit, you can compare the screen with also TomTom. So at the moment, we're comparing with both TomTom and open the street maps. And here you can see it's given us a little bit different here. Don't really care about that because it's in the city. But again, if you wanted to make adjustments, you just put another waypoint in. Okay, so that is looking at comparing routes. So we're going to take those two off now. We'll take the TomTom off. So we're back to here. Okay, so we're happy with our route. So now you can look at exporting it or doing a few other things with it. So one thing I will say is, so if we look at our left-hand side menu, and we want to get some points of interest. We want to see what's around these places. So if we head up here, there's a number of menu options down here. So the main ones that I use, obviously, is your waypoints. Animate is if you want to animate your route and make it look like Riva. I'll cover off on that on a the next time we do MyRoute webinar or recording. Commentary I don't really use. Routes I'll come back to and show shortly. But the one that is really handy is points of interest. So if you click on points of interest, you'll see there's a whole heap of POIs down here that you can click on. So on this particular route here, it's only a short route, so we don't really need to look at fuel, but I'm going to look at museums. I'm going to look at maybe attractions and maybe anything historic. Because I know at Birdwood and Gumaraka, there are historical or attractions around those just from experience. But if you're looking for something, so we come in, you've got to scroll in a reasonable amount to get these things to show up. So you can see here that 2 attractions have come up, being the National Motor Museum. National Motor Museum is well worth a look. So I'm actually going to drag my 0.9 and bring it down here to the National Motor Museum, and that's now coinciding with one of my waypoints. And when I go to Gumaraka and I come up here, so there's an attraction, a museum here, the district, whatever it is, and we've got some attractions. So Animal Park, the Toy Factory, and the big rocking horse, which is the biggest rocking horse in the world. So I'll bring this waypoint back to there, and I go, okay, so that waypoint now is opposite the Toy Factory. Now, a couple of points of difference between using the actual navigation app on your phone from MRA versus a device. So when I export this file and I upload it into my TomTom, my waypoints are all blue. They're the same shape, and I'm pretty sure it's the same with the Garmin. You can't change the color of your waypoints or their shapes. So, but if you're using, sorry, I just made an error there where I've put in another point. So I'm just going to go back to waypoints, and I'm going to delete that one. All right, so if you're using the MRA navigation device on your phone, then that gives you more options and comes out the same as what you're doing in the planning app. So if you click on one of your waypoints, so we can go, okay, let's have a look at number 9. And here you've got a menu item where you can rename it. So I'm going to rename it from the point it was to the National Motor Museum. Hit OK. And that's what's going to show up on the actual app on your phone. And then I'm going to color my waypoint and make it a different color. So you might choose red for attractions, you might choose green for fuel, anything like that. So I'm going to make that one red. And there was also an attraction here that we wanted to stop at. So I'm going to also make that one red. Okay. So that's now turned both of those red. I don't want to see my the little indicators anymore for the POI. So I come back to the POI and I uncheck all of the POIs. I'm going to come back to waypoints and you can see the two here are in red. Now there are other options in here that you can do. So this is saying an hour and a half for the 86 kilometers. When you click on this one here, this is only useful for, again, the navigation app on the phone. It's not useful for your actual Garmin or TomTom. But you can put in here that you want to add some time to, maybe have half an hour looking around here and stuff, which then will make your trip actual 2 hours. I don't really use that feature at all. If we want to stop, we stop. So don't need a machine to tell us that we need to stop for half an hour or anything like that, but it's entirely up to you. I suggest you actually click on these on your waypoints and just have a look what is in the menu items here. And if it's useful to you, then that's all well and good. So yeah, that's it there. Okay. Okay, so we've finished putting together our route. We're happy with it. So now we're going to export it as a GPX file and an ITN file for uploading into your nav device, depending on which one you have. So just a point to note, if you are using the app on your phone, so the MRA Navigator app on your phone for navigating, you don't need to do anything because this actually will sync with that app. So all you need to do is go into the app and bring it up. So I always save my GPX files as a 1.1 track POI, and I have found with that it uploads into a Garmin device. I've not heard too many people have issues with that. If you do have a Garmin device, then you can maybe have a crack at saving them at either of these three here. If you hold your mouse over here, it tells you a little description about shaping points, which for Garmin's I'm not familiar with. I am a TomTom person. So you can try different GPXs, upload them into your device and see whether they work or not. But like I said, I use this one here for a GPX file. So I've just downloaded that one. It's going to my download folder on my computer. And then for my TomTom, if you have a TomTom, I will save it as a ITN route. And then for my TomTom, I simply grab that ITN route, stick it onto my SD card, put it back into my TomTom, and it will recognize a new route and ask me if I want to upload that. So there are different types of files here. HD Boombox, from my understanding, is Harley Davidson. So for any people out there with a Harley, if you want to download it and try it, then save it as a either one of those. For Google Earth, KML, KMZ routes, you can save it as those. The TPF, TRF, I really don't know what they are. TAR, GZ, so I don't use those. So we've saved our files. Now, if you want to check your GPX file, I've used this program here. Just going to refresh that. So I've used this program here for a number of years also, and it's a great little program for checking GPX files. You simply grab your GPX file, drag it in, and if it's working correctly, you will see it replicates your file you've put together in MyRoute. So you can come up here, change the colors in this. So it is a pretty good program for checking GPX files. If you drag a GPX file in and you've got straight lines, like they go straight, 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 then you've saved that as a wrong file type. And if you try to upload it into your Garmin, it won't work. Okay, so that's pretty much it with that one. So I'm going to get out of here. Okay, so that is a pretty simple route put together. So we're going to go back to our main screen now, and we're going to do a bit of a one where we're overseas, and we've got a nice squiggly road that runs in parts alongside a highway. I've named this one Portugal, Chaves to Faro. So Chaves to Faro in Portugal, the N2 road is compared with Route 66 in America. It is a cracking road. We have done that. It's about 700 odd kilometres long, goes from the top of Portugal to the bottom, goes over mountains, through vineyards, just an amazing, amazing road. I'm just going to open that one up. And as I covered off on this in the webinar, I'm actually going to delete all the points. So I'm just going to click on these. Okay, and then we're going to come up here to Chaves and put our first waypoint in. So at the moment, I'm still in here, and I can see the N2 running here. So the N2 actually starts on this roundabout here, and they have a marker which is quite interesting to look at. So we might just start that on the other side of the road, and then we'll follow down the N2 for a few kilometres, and we'll get the gist of it as we go. So we might come down to here and put in our second waypoint. So as you can see, it has followed highways, which is not something that we want. We want to come down the N2. There's a couple of options you can look at here. So one is in your toolkit. So if you come up here and you go, okay, I want to avoid toll roads. So that will take us off the toll roads, which is the A24. It's bringing us down the N2 for some of it. And then when we get down a little bit further, so just by putting in avoid toll roads, it has brought us down the N2. But if you were to just say, okay, that's it, and you did that all the way through and export it as a file to put into your navigation device, you will still be brought down your highways unless you tell your navigation device to also avoid motorways and also toll roads. So for planning in your toolkit, if you come in here and you go, okay, I want to avoid toll roads and I want to avoid highways, that will bring you where you're wanting to go, but bear in mind, it won't upload like that into your device. So add some waypoints, and when I'm set this close to the highway, I try to put my waypoints every few kilometers. All you need to do, come in here where you've got an X, click on that, and it'll put your next waypoint in the middle. So just come in and see what your road's looking like. that it's on the road. Keep coming down. You might put another one here, because when I turn off the avoid highways and toll roads, if you've got enough points in here now, so just have a look at that. So I've got 6 points in here now. So now I'm going to come into the toolkit. I'm going to turn off the avoid toll roads, and I'm going to turn off the avoid highways. Now, if you've got enough points in there, it should replicate what you've just done by putting your points. But if it does take you onto a highway, then you can either grab it and drag it across to where you want to go. So you keep following the actual route that you've put together. So the N2 comes through some amazing mountainous roads. And like I said, it comes from Chavez up here and comes all the way down to Faro here at the bottom of Portugal, and is quite an amazing road. So that takes gives a bit of an overview of the function here of avoiding toll roads, highways. If you want to avoid unpaved roads, you can also check that. Sometimes I find that using the avoid unpaved roads can throw a bit of a spanner, particularly if you're starting your route, in a driveway or down a dirt road, because you're down a dirt road in a hotel or something that's, maybe a kilometre off the road. So I don't use the avoid dirt roads too often. But if you want to try it, then yeah, by all means, go ahead. Okay. Another thing here in the toolkit that we've got is not so much relative in Australia, but definitely relative in Europe, and particularly in winter, is seasonal closures. So roads like Stelvio and all your Swiss roads in the mountains, Grossglockner, they all close over winter. So if you're trying to put a route together and it continually takes you another way, depending on the year at the time of the year when you're trying to put that route together, and you get quite frustrated. So, and it seems to be only with here, like when using to here to plan your routes. So if you come in and you disable seasonal closures, then that actually ignores those seasonal closures, and you can get your route to do what you want it to do. Okay, so that covers off on using the avoiding toll roads, highways, and then putting in your waypoints, and then turning those back off again to see whether you've got enough waypoints in there to get your road where you want it to go. So we'll come back out of there. So just bearing with me for a minute. Okay, so I'm now going to show you, I'm going to get rid of this Gorge Road number 1. So when we did Gorge Road, we had the ride going, just open that up again. So this ride here, we're coming around anti-clockwise. Now, let's say you wanted to reverse that route and you want to do it the other way. So if you come back out of it, and then we look and we go, okay, I want to reverse this ride. So over here on your right-hand side, number of menu items, that's to lock the actual route. This one here is to copy it. So we're going to copy it, and we're going to call it number 1 reverse. save that. Now we open it up. So at the moment, it is exactly the same as the route we have created, but we're now going to use our toolkit. We're going to come down to reverse, click on that, and that reverses all your waypoints so you can do it the other way. So the thing to check with that is obviously, or not obviously, so you just want to check that none of your waypoints that you had on the other side of the road when you were putting them together now takes you a different way or tries to get you to reverse a bit. And this is where different mapping can make a difference with this. So if we go into TomTom, we'll just see whether it's done it. And you can see here, there's a darker bit. So in the TomTom version, it's saying, okay, you're on the wrong side of the road, so I want to take you around here. So when you actually upload that into your device, that's what it's going to do. It's going to try and take you back around. So you just drag your point onto which side of the road that you should be on. And then you eliminate that. So when you actually save it, you'll now have it not trying to take you around, you know, a little square because you got it on the wrong side of the road. And that's happened to me a couple of times in mainly overseas as well. So that is reversing of a route to do it the other way. Okay, so that sort of covers off on the main items. We just go back into the Portugal route and just a recap of, so waypoints, they're the ones that you can put in as many as you like or as little as you like. So a route you put together in MyRoute-app, you can put in up to 200 waypoints. So that's quite handy for a route such as this one, where you are sort of following highways along, but you want to be off those highways. So you might have, you know, 100 waypoints in a 700-kilometre ride, whereas if you're going across the Hay Plains, you might only have 2. So it just depends on the complexity of the ride. So just going back over our menus again. So looking at, we'll head back to this one here, and I'm going to go back into my South Australia folder, and I will just show you. So if we bring Chain of Ponds and Corkscrew Road up, so this is a route, you know, that was in our membership in April last year. So this one here was the thing. So now I want to look at, okay, I want to bring in another route to see where that goes. So if I go to my waypoints and I come down here to routes, you can add a route. So I'm going to add it from South Australia, and I'm going to bring in the Cuddly Creek one. So I click on Cuddly Creek, and this one here shows it in yellow. If you click on the yellow dot, you can change that color so you can see it more clear. So this is a ride, another ride that we've got here in South Australia, that you can overlay these to see where all your rides go. I just go and add. Now, if I want to say, okay, I want to do this ride here, and then I also want to do this ride here, you can actually go on the plus button, and it will start this ride either before the ride that you've got here or at the end. So if you click on end, because you want to do it after you've done this ride, and you go merge, this then brings that ride to start from your finish point of this one here and takes you around and puts the waypoints into there. Quite useful for putting stuff together. So that's the routes function of here. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I'll come back and I'll fix that up later because I don't want that. Okay, so there are other things in MyRoute that is quite useful. So I'm just going to go back to the Route Lab. So now we are going to have a look at importing a GPX file. So not only can you put routes together, you can import a file and modify it so you can use it. So if we just go back to our routes, go back to our webinar. So this is where the button over here as a new folder route or route upload is this one here for importing a GPX file. You want to bring in a route upload. So this box will come in. So you want to bring in a route track for a GPX file, leaving your privacy mode in private, driving mode in driving. I'm going to choose a file and I'm going to bring in this one here, Croatia, Senja to Plitvice Lakes. So this is from our, excuse me, 2019 tour. So bringing in one of the rides that we did. So we hit import. So you can see it's now sitting here. If you click on that to open it, and you can see the ride is looking like these blue lines. It'll have a green flag and the checkered flag, which is your start and finish. In this case, we started and finished in Senja. So we came down here through the nice mountainous track, and we did some narrow roads coming this way. Got to Plitvice Lakes, which is a stunning area, by the way, and then we came back. So you've brought in the GPX file, so you now want to change that into a file that you can modify your waypoints and then import it into your machine device. So here, up here, we go edit route track. It'll ask you what do you want to call it. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as the same. I'm going to go use. And it will automatically add a whole heap of waypoints. So at the moment, it's sitting on default street maps. I'm going to change that to TomTom. So you can see this whole swag of waypoints, and it's actually coming down here for some reason. So you can come in here and have a look. There's way too many waypoints in this. So where you start from up here at number 1, like you don't actually want 90 points on this one here. So you can start deleting out waypoints, particularly where the road is just going like, you know, here 11 to 12 to 13, you've got 79, you've got 80, you've got 81. You don't need that many, so you can just start deleting them. So you can go, okay, I don't want that one. I'm going to bin it. So get rid of 80. Doesn't make any difference to your actual route. And just keep doing that until your route either changes And here we can see that, 72, 73. So you can either come down here and go like from 0.69, I don't need 70, 71, 72, 73. So I'm going to get rid of 70, 70 again, 70 again, 70 again. And not only is that, opened it up a bit, it's also got rid of this dog leg it was doing down here, which wasn't part of the actual route. So you can keep going through that, deleting the number of waypoints, because at the moment, they're every, like this one's only 3 kilometers apart, 3 kilometers, until the map actually changes. Or if you're happy having that many waypoints, then leave it as it is. So then you can do the same thing again. You can save it as an ITN file for your TomTom or a GPX file for your Garmin, and you've got another route ready to go. Okay. So last thing I am going to cover for tonight is if we go back to our Route Lab, and I want to show you this little feature here, which is a new feature in the last maybe 18 months that MRA has brought in, that we used for the first time last year in Spain. We're in a village called Aguilas, and then we wanted to sort of come across in Spain to a place called Jaén. I didn't really want to spend a whole heap of time putting a route together, so I tried this feature and it was awesome. So there's 2 scenarios you can do here. You can create a round tour where you start and finish in one point, or you can start in a place and you want to finish in another place. So I'm going to change this to, I want a scenic route, leave it as car and motorcycle, and I'm going from Aguilas in Spain. So when you click on Aguilas, you can come across here and you go, is that the right place? And yes, it is. And then I want to finish in Jaén in Spain. So here we are in Jaén. So I come down, I can see, yep, it's Jaén. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I may not be, but anyway. Okay, so from point 1 to point 2. So you can either go surprise me or next step. So I chose next step, and I wanted a very curvy route, and I want a big height difference. So in here with your scenic routes, you can go, okay, I want to avoid toll roads because obviously I don't want to see those. In general, I want to avoid cities, and I also want to avoid highways and residential roads. If you don't mind residential roads, you can leave that unchecked. So then we go generate. So once it's done its thing, it will say view routes, and this route comes up. So across here, you've got your elevation, like what is the actual elevation. And as you're going, you can see the little map moving to coincide with the height. So when you hone in on that one there, there's some pretty awesome twisties, which is what we love. We're not on highways or anything because we don't like those. And so I then had a look at this. So then you can go, okay, yep, I'm happy with that. I want to use this route. Click on the use this route. It comes up the same as the importing a GPX file. So you've got your start as in go, and you've got your finish in Jaén. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert this to an actual adding the waypoints. So I'm going to leave it called the Aguilas for Jaén for now. Go use. and it's going to generate, and it's going to have a whole heap of waypoints in it, which I then deleted out. I'm going to go back to TomTom to have a look at it. So there it is there. Now what I'm going to do now is bring in our actual route that we did, because I did do some modifications to it, did a bit of research and stuff, and there were some areas that I wanted to have a look at. So I go to my routes, I go add. In this case, it's our Europe tour, and I'm going to go into Spain and bring in Aguilas to Jaén. So as you can see, the yellow line, excuse me, is what we actually did. But you can see that the route that it's put together is pretty close to what our actual route ended up being. Now, this section up here, if I go, okay, I want this route that I've put together to cover off on this, highly recommend, because if you have a look here, there's so many squiggly lines. And we were going through like caves on, it was tarred road, narrow, but tarred, and actually had like caves or tunnels going through, which were just amazing. And then this village up here, as you went through it, you could basically put your hands out on either side of the bike and touch the sides of the buildings. It was that narrow. So for that one there, I just drag or delete these points here, or I just drag them up to here and go, well, this is the way I want this route to go. And we now follow the route that we took. Okay, I've just accidentally put one in. So I need to go back to my waypoints, go all the way down to the bottom and delete that one. And then with this one here, I'll keep scrolling. I'm going to drag this one up to the road and see if that actually pulls it from here. So it's still not pulling it from there. So I'm going to drag that point to there. Okay, so it could be, what are we, TomTom? So as you can see in TomTom, this is showing that as being a broken road. So I'm just going to go in and see if that's the same in here. So in the mapping for here, that's not a broken road. So these are some of the differences you will get with using the 3 different mapping things that I've had it with here for Belthorpe Range in southeast Queensland, showing that you couldn't go part of Belthorpe Range that actually wasn't a road, and that was using the Garmin here, whereas in TomTom it was open. So just some little peculiarities with the mapping. Okay, so that one there, then you can, once you finish playing with it and you've got it where you want it to be, you can then save that as either a GPX track or ITN file, depending on what navigation device you're using. Again, if you're using the actual app on your phone from MRA, you don't need to do anything because it just syncs. Okay, so I think that sort of covers off on everything we went through on the webinar. And like I said, if you want a 50% discount to MRA, then if you have purchased one of our books, just let us know. If you've ordered it through our online store, we'll have the details. If you bought it from one of our stockists, either just show us your proof of purchase or hold the book up and get a pic of it and send it through to us. If you haven't got one of our books and you do want to use the product or get a 50% discount, then please grab one of our books or join our membership. Our membership is opening up again on the 29th of this month. So if you jump onto our website, you'll see that we've got a wait list at the moment. You can fill out that form and send it through to us. So I hope that's helpful to people. If you have any queries, any questions or anything else about MRA itself, just hit us up with a message or send us an email. And yeah, so thanks for joining us.